All right, welcome into Before Floor on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I always jump the gun there. Ethan Skolnick, you can find me at Ethan J. Skolnick or at 5 Reasons Sports. Hello, Ernesto. Thanks for joining us tonight. We got Manny Chang producing. We got Greg Sylvander right next to me. We've got Brady Hawk, our new official lead heat writer on 5reasonsports.com. And we've got Jonathan Ramlakan. You can find him at 3-Piece Combo. Ricky is in transit somewhere, so we'll catch up with him another day. Sponsors today, as always, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure you check them out. Go to the website, biscaynebaybrewing.com. Also, and ask for it wherever you are. Also, Biscayne Bay is going to be sponsoring our new Marlins show on the YouTube channel called Marlins on Tap with Biscayne Bay Brewing and 5 Reasons Sports. So we're going to have a new Marlins program there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be incorporating a lot of our Marlins personnel there. So Biscayne Bay Brewing, the official beer, not only the 5 Reasons Sports Network, also of the Miami Marlins. Make sure you check out all of their beers, including my favorite, the Tropical Bay IPA. Also, a new sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, but no secret here because she's been commenting here on our stuff for quite a while. That's our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's insurancebylynette.com. This is A Aggressive Insurance. That's the name of it, A Aggressive Insurance. This is an insurance broker agency. It's been servicing South Florida for over 15 years. They offer auto insurance, homeowners insurance, condo insurance, life insurance, and also offer retirement programs. They offer also free notary services to all clients. They represent the leading insurance carriers in South Florida. If you got a bad driving record, I know some of you out there do, no problem. No driver refused. They offer free phone quotes as well. So check her out at insurancebylynette.com. She will be sponsoring all the episodes Before Floor during the regular season. All right, let's get to it. No Bam Adebayo tonight. The Heat now over 500 for the first time this season. Technically in the 5 seed. They can get all the way up to the 4 seed, although Boston's got an easy one against Houston coming up, so probably that won't last very long. We would assume we'd have the same starting lineup. I think. I'll go to you first on this, Brady. I mean, KZ Okpala picked up 3 fouls in 5 minutes. I guess they don't care all that much. Harkless actually kind of outplayed him in the last game, I thought. Do you expect a change?
I don't. If I'm just expecting, I do expect them to go with KZ Okpala. I think he gave them something good early on. It was just the fouls that continue to be the issue. I think he played pretty good for them, being a guy that could get in transition for them. He's aggressive on defense, but just the issue is he's too aggressive. I think it's his aggressiveness is his biggest strength and his biggest weakness because I think that's what we're seeing right now. But I do expect him to start, but we just don't know how long that'll actually last.
All right, let's get to Greg now. I feel like we get to the transaction stuff with you. Some new names we haven't talked about quite as much. Larry Nance is one name. I think the Heat are in play there. Obviously, the Houston situation with Tucker. Just to be clear on Tucker, though, obviously we talk Oladipo too. Tucker's been sent away from the team, but the Heat cannot fit Tucker into that exception. His contract is a little bit bigger than what they have to offer. So now we've got Andre Drummond, PJ Tucker, DeMarcus Cousins. There's a whole bunch of players that are just out there right now. And yet, then you got a guy like Larry Nance Jr., who's still with Cleveland. But the Heat have made trades with Cleveland before. They've dealt with Kobe Altman on the Dwayne Wade trade. There is a relationship there. How real is the Nance stuff? And is the Oladipo stuff now sort of front and center again?
So, like in 2 weeks to the deadline, there's always going to be a lot of weird stuff you hear. But a couple things that came into the inbox today was that the Heat checked in on Larry Nance. Actually, when he was out, when he was injured, and they were calling Cleveland about the opportunity to get him. I think that they kind of view him as a player who they would be able to slide in and maximize as part of that young core go forward. So I would look for them to continue to talk to Cleveland and see if that's a possibility, but it may be too steep an asking price. The other thing that popped up today was that Oladipo and Tucker are not staying in Houston, and it's just a matter of where they're going to end up. Miami obviously has interest, and there may be vested interest in acquiring Oladipo earlier, not even mentioning the shakeup stuff. And then the more that I dug into it, a person I really trust said, just don't discount Oklahoma City getting involved with these extra players. They've got Trevor Ariza shooting around in Miami, but he's like, part of the roster. Like there's all kinds of weird stuff that they got to clean up. So that could be a potentially a 3-team scenario that may work.
Remember, George Hill's still possibly in play. I mean, we haven't talked a lot about Horford in a while. Also, people asking some questions. I'm not on a Samsung phone. I have an iPhone. I just happen to be in my new office, which is not put together. Don't look at the laundry behind me. Jonathan, let's get to this. A lot of good, some bad, some ugly in that last game against Orlando. I mean, certainly not convincing. They needed Jimmy basically to bail them out again. I mean, what do you expect tonight?
Yeah, I expect kind of something similar tonight, right? Kelly seems to have a little bit better games when Bam's not playing, and he seems to set his feet a little bit more instead of taking these shots so rushed. So I see us having a game similar to last night. Since we don't have Bam, we might be a little bit of a disadvantage in the front court because they have Lauri Markkanen, they have Thad Young, and they have Wendell Carter. So they have a pretty big front court for us to deal with. I think the biggest thing for us tonight is we're going to have to rebound the ball, focus on team rebounding. Vooch got, 17 rebounds last night. We can't let one of the bigs of Chicago get that many rebounds. So if we're able to keep them off the glass and keep, Kobe White and Zach LaVine inefficient, then we have a better shot at winning this game.
Speaking of Zach LaVine, I saw someone else made the same picks here on Prize Picks. Use the code 5. I went over on LaVine's points. I went over on Jimmy's points. Jimmy's at 23.5 tonight. I think he goes over that. I also think, by the way, last 17 games since Jimmy came back, for the last 15 games, the Heat are the number 1 defensive team in the league. That coincides with basically Jimmy's return. Last 17 games, Jimmy Butler has scored at least 20 points 10 times. He's had at least 8 rebounds 14 times. He's had at least 8 assists 14 times. This plays into what the Heat official said. He's even better than we thought. But second night of a back-to-back, Brady, we know Jimmy looked live last night. He got up on that dunk. He looked pretty much he didn't take a lot of jumpers last night, but he looked clean on the 3. But second night of back-to-backs with Jimmy, sometimes maybe the legs are not quite there. I want to see more from Dragic tonight. Again, second night of a back-to-back. What are we expecting from Jimmy?
Yeah, I just don't think you want to rely on Jimmy's jumper totally. I don't think, especially as you mentioned, the legs might not be there on a back-to-back. I do think Goran's going to play a big part. I think Hero and Duncan need to get going a little bit earlier to help him out so he doesn't have to, basically do that. But Jimmy's going to have to attack the basket inevitably without Bam because they need a downhill threat, especially when Goran's not able to do it. They don't really have anybody. The only time it's anybody's doing is off-ball cuts, but on ball, getting to the basket is a hard thing to do. And against this team without, very good paint protection, I think that's going to be even, a thing we see even more. So I do think it's going to be the same type of Jimmy Butler game you're going to need, which is odd because, it's the beginning of a second half run. But, here we are again with, one man down, and he's probably going to need to do something similar.
The Bulls were awful last night, by the way. Mitch, sorry about the camera angle. I'm not trying to be creepy. I'm in my office now. I'm not used to being in my office. We just sort of put this thing in. Plus, you can find the 5 Reasons shirt here on the site. We're going to have a new Panther shirt on the site, a Cardiac Kids shirt. Move back. Man, what the hell are you doing? There you go. I got a couple announcements to make, and then we'll get back to the basketball here. First, check out Jonathan on 5 Reasons to Bet. He was on there with Jim Rodriguez today, correct? Earlier this morning.
Yes, sir.
So make sure that you check that out. Also, we're going to have an announcement of an expansion of our social media presence. You're going to find out about that on Monday. This is a major one. This is going to get all of this content our exclusive content out there more in a place that we've had a little bit of difficulty kind of making inroads. So make sure that you check that out. On Monday, we'll have an announcement. And also we'll have an announcement about another partnership, so I won't be sitting on this stool anymore eventually. Although maybe, because I'm the only one who can't put the damn thing together that we actually got. All right, but let's get to Chicago. Zach LaVine, he's become a megastar. I mean, when he came in the league, he was a dunker. But Andrew Wiggins, I was in that locker room. Wiggins and LaVine were close. I was in that locker room writing stories about Wiggins. Bleacher Report had me follow Wiggins around for a week because he was the next one. I followed him to Orlando, to Atlanta.
Sorry to hear that.
Down here in Miami. Right, I know. It didn't actually work out, and LaVine was in that locker room at the time. Zach LaVine has become a much better player than Andrew Wiggins, particularly as a three-point shooter, and also he's become a pretty damn good defender, which was not the case early. First thing, how do you control him tonight? I'll let any of you guys start with this. And second, do you think he can be pried away from Chicago?
I'll take question 2. Someone else take question 1.
All right, you
So,
say question 2. Go ahead then. Then we'll get to the tonight.
No, I'll jump in. I think that one of the things you're gonna have to see is the 2-3 zone. I think it's gonna be. I think it's interesting what they're gonna do with it today. I think last night's game. I mentioned it earlier that I think that's the main reason they won that game was Spo waiting to use it until the fourth quarter. Usually when they use it early on, teams figure it out by the fourth quarter. They have to go away from it because basically they can dissect it pretty quickly. But throwing it on them in the fourth quarter, they had to adjust at that time and it allowed Miami to pull away. And I'd like to kind of see what they elect to do if they'd rather use it as a spark maybe in the second quarter, or if they're going to keep doing that and waiting till the fourth quarter to kind of throw it on a team if they're expecting a close game. So I do think that's one way to kind of, slow a guy down like him.
All right, I'll go to Greg and then we'll close with Jonathan here. How does somebody pry him out of Chicago?
That's a tough question. I don't know that it's possible right now. I feel like likely Chicago would move Markkanen first and try to clear up some of the front court. I just don't see any viable path to a Zach LaVine deal unless a team is willing to bring draft capital that Miami doesn't have, quite frankly. I don't know that Chicago's in the position to make a move to exit an all-star after they've gone many seasons without one. So my tendency is to think that it's probably unlikely that you would get the opportunity to trade for him. I would love the idea of Thad Young and Zach LaVine as a trade package in Miami. I'll never forget, and I'll keep going back to it all season, when Nekias said the Heat could use an alpha scorer or a dynamic scorer that doesn't want to be an alpha. And it's that's Zach LaVine right there. So ever since then, it's kind of stuck to my gut that he would be a good fit. But I don't know. I just don't see a respectable means to a deal.
Jonathan, I'm going to start with you, and I'll circle back here a little bit. I posed this on Twitter today. I feel like this is going to be an episode that we do. Is Jimmy Butler right now a top 5 player in Miami Heat history?
Yeah.
For what he's done. I'm not talking about what Shaq did somewhere else. I'm talking about, or Tim Hardaway did somewhere else. For what they've done in Miami, is Jimmy yet at that top 5 levels? I know Greg and I are going to dig into this more on the pod probably this week, but where do you have him there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to. He led you to the finals his first year he was with you. He's already second in the team in history for triple doubles, right? And he's showing that he can carry this team. He's the next alpha, right? He was the next guy that's pretty much taking over this team. And I feel like already what he's done, not only as just being the leader of this team, but taking us to the finals, showing us how far he can take us on our back, having an incredible finals run that rivals how LeBron plays in the finals, really, and just showing us how much of a great player he is. I think he definitely is a top 5 player in Heat history.
All right, well, here we go, okay? And again, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go back to the 90s with Brady, but I know, and I got to get that shirt, the Timmy Zoe shirt that we got on our website.
Me too.
That's smooth. I got to get one of those here. I'll get one up to you, Greg. But I would say, look, Dwayne, LeBron, Zoe are given.
Correct.
It's that category now of Shaq, Bosh, and Hardaway, right? I think Jimmy's in the top 7 now, okay? Safely.
Yeah.
But how many of those guys are you going to put ahead of Kelly? I see get the hell out of there. Right? You think I'm not paying attention? LeBron's got to be on your list, Arlene. There are 2 titles for he's got to be on your list. You can't take him off the list. But it's that category. It's 4 players for 2 spots if we're talking about top 5, right? So to me, I don't think you can put him ahead of Shaq because Shaq, they want a title with Shaq, although Shaq was not the driving force in them winning a title.
Yeah. That one is not as easy as it was made out to be on Twitter today.
But also, he was second in MVP voting in his first season here in Miami.
It's true. And probably should have won it.
Jimmy hasn't had a chance to wind his way out the door. I don't think he's going to. But Shaq did that, which I think hurts his legacy. Bosh is another conversation. 2 championships, gave up a lot of his role, was absolutely instrumental. People on that team said they don't win those titles without him. It's a tough one. And then Hardaway was the second best player on the team or the best player at times, mostly the second best player, for basically a 5-year period. It's tough, right? I mean, we'll do this more, Greg, but it's not easy.
No, I mean, part of me doesn't want to show my hand in advance of our podcast where we unpack this, but I would just say that I think what hurts Shaq to me in some degree is that in the finals, it was a rough go. But throughout that playoff run, he was huge in multiple games. So I still put him ahead. But I think Jimmy, just the way that he led the team to the finals in his first year, I'm ready. I don't think Bosch could have done that under any circumstance.
Right.
Like, no matter the circumstances, no matter the era, no matter the teams, Bosch is not taking his team to the finals as the main guy. And then Timmy, I mean, I've already been saying that Goran may be the best point guard or is the best point guard in Heat history after last season, which may be a little crazy, but to that point, I think I've also got Jimmy ahead of Timmy.
A lot of people had Haslam in there today. It's a different conversation.
That's for the heart. That's not the head.
Yeah, exactly. Most important figures in Heat history, but as a player, it's just, I mean, they had some really good players. I think that's a good way. I mean, Glenn Rice came up today too, but Glenn really flourished more so after he left than he did when he was here. All right, let's get to tonight. Let's get back to tonight. I feel like this is significant. Being one game over 500 is fine. They finally got there, but they got to follow through now, right? They've got to follow through and sort of chase down this 4 seed, which I think is 4 or 5 seed. Just to stay in that mix is going to be important for them. Brady, you like them tonight?
I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, which I think is pretty obvious because Miami's never had an easy one all year. But I do think they need some things. They need some clarity, I think, as a team. I think they need a Duncan, maybe a good Duncan shooting performance. They just need role guys to step up in a way that they can feel comfortable if a guy goes down that they'll step up in any certain way. Kendrick Nunn always is going to step up. Basically, he's the most consistent player on their team. Scoring wise, I just think it's got to be somebody else, and I think that will happen. And I think they'll get a win.
I think this is an important week for Duncan. I really do. I mean, we're coming up on the trade deadline here pretty soon. They have
I'm surprised you're going here, Ethan.
Well, you and I both know there's mixed feelings inside the organization. There's not alignment. That's the one thing I want to make clear. When we talk about how the organization is feeling, even the 45-minute podcast I did where I kind of laid it out the other day, it doesn't mean everybody agrees. It means this is the prevailing sentiment. I can tell you on Duncan Robinson, there is not one line of thinking. There's some in the organization who believe he's worth the money, and there are some in the organization who are not sure. And that's the thing. I will say this one thing I've said, and I've said this on a pod. So this is not out of school. Eric Spoelstra loves Duncan Robinson. Okay, how much that plays into what they decide to pay him, I don't know. Okay, Jonathan, tonight, what do you like?
Yeah, I think Miami's going to be able to get it done. I'm never going to pick Chicago. I think this, like Brady said, is going to be one of the tougher games of the season. Like I said, they have a heavy front court, and if we have a trouble rebounding the ball, it's just going to be a long night for us. So even if we're forcing misses, they're going to get cleanups on the offensive glass. Skilled bigs always seem to give us problem, and Lauri Markkanen is one of those guys who can stretch the floor and hit you inside. So I think he might have a big game as well. I think we can do enough between, maybe starting with KZ, Jimmy Butler, and Iguodala and try to slow down Zach LaVine a little bit, right? Try to just make him inefficient. And if we're able to make him inefficient, I think that's our best shot at winning tonight's game.
Marco just called it. I think he's right. I can't. And Marco didn't get to do his video tonight, but you got to check out Know Your Enemy on other days. But
I think it's Garrett Temple.
Pronounce Ryan's name, but I'm with you. But I will say this: I called the random scrub Heat killer in the last game. I said this is a Dwayne Bacon 25 game. He ended up with 21. If that thing had gone a little, if he had played a little bit more at the end of the game, that might have happened. And Greg, I know you're picking the Heat.
But actually, I do want to say that I am not as confident as I normally am. And like, for instance, I'll show you one reason why. Just going back to the last night, the Sixers kicked the crap out of the Bulls without Embiid and Simmons by 22. But here's the crazy thing. Chicago shot 48% from 3 last night. They shot 14 of 29, 47% from the field and 81% from the line. All I'll say is this, like, if they shoot 48% from 3 tonight, I don't know that Miami's going to have the same success Philadelphia had last night. So that's just going to be something they're going to have to run them off the line. I think that Chicago's ranked currently 10th in 3-point shooting throughout the league. So it's something that they're going to have to really hone in on tonight.
Ariel, I don't speak it into existence. I'm supposed to be a jinx the other direction. I trashed Malik Monk. He had the game of his life, and now he's going for a new contract. I praise Dwayne Bacon. It's not just that I mention a guy's name, good or bad, and he has a great game. It's supposed to be say something negative. I do like the Heat tonight. One of the reasons I like the Heat, Jimmy's back in Chicago. I do think Jimmy understands the import of this. He's back in Chicago. You look at his numbers traditionally, he has played very well there since he's been back with Minnesota or with Philadelphia. He takes this stuff kind of personally. I think he is feeling a little better after the break. And I think we're getting a high 20s scoring game from Jimmy tonight. To me, I want to see a hero game. I do. We got close. We got close in the last
tonight.
Some moments. I need to see it tonight. He's got to have one of those games. It's been a while since it's just Tyler took over. Okay, and there was a little bounce though in the second half last night that you could see him starting to get that confidence. All right, again, follow everything these guys are doing. Brady's Breakdown will be back on YouTube channel. Check out also his takeaways after the game. I'll be on with Greg after the game. I think we're giving Alex the night off, but the two of us will be on else. And also did a value plays segment with Eric Brown, so check that out on the podcast feed. Tell people about us. Get us to 11,000 subs by the end of the weekend. We're trying to get there. Have a good night.